Hey, Sui Mia here, and today I will be giving my thoughts on the first 3 episodes of Serial Experiment Lain. So let's get right into it.
Weird Layer 01.
Just as the title says, this episode was pretty weird. It started pretty unexpectedly, with the girl killing herself within the first 2 minutes. I think it was the point to make that unexpected, though. I noticed a lot of different details around the world of Lain. Things like the shadows being colorful, the street right next to them being a bright white, and red goo dripping from the ceiling at one point. This feels like the real world, but the differences in the details almost make it unsettling. You can tell something is wrong, just by looking a bit closer. But what that is, I don't know yet. The technology in this world is also something I find odd. It seems a lot more advanced and futuristic, but the world around it seems more akin to ours than the future. And people are getting emails from people who died recently, and the emails are talking about them being here. Now I wonder, where's the here they're talking about? Lain is a quiet observer. I notice she doesn't really react much to the weird world of Lain. She didn't even react that much to seeing the girl who died earlier, that is in front of her now. One time I noticed she really reacted, though, was when she saw the other lady die to the train in that weird cloudscape. Small detail here at the end of the episode 1 section, but I really love her bear onesie. It stands out a lot to me because it's something so normal in a world that's definitely not.
Girls Layer 02.
This episode gets a bit more odd, with a bartender wearing a gas mask and a strange bug-like drug that a guy later eats. The voice on the TV says it increases your reaction time by 12 times and removes human limitations. Which then the guy who ate the bug drug pulls out a gun and starts shooting up the bar, instantly showing how dangerous this drug can be. There's a girl that looks exactly like Lain, but with a personality completely opposite to her. People know her for that other self without having ever met her before. I notice Lain's eyes are different from almost everyone else in the show. I wonder if there's a deeper meaning to this. Things like the guy behind the pole, and the ghost people in the hallway, and the person staring at her from the closet make this start feeling more akin to a horror anime than the sci-fi psychological that I've known it as thus far. The question I ask is, how far will they go with the horror themes? The guy in the bar points at Lain and suddenly says, "No matter where you are, everyone is always connected." And then the guy shoots himself. Now here's where things shifted for me. Now I don't know if Lain's normal anymore. I don't even know if Lain's human, but there's clearly more to this. Another small detail at the end of section 2 now. I would love to have her haircut. I think it's very nice.
Layer 03.
When episode 3 starts, she comes back home, only to find it empty. This was weird to me, because, as was already said in the last episode, she was at the club past the time she usually would be asleep. So why, when she comes back, is her family gone? And then the next day, her mom is back just like nothing happened. Something's clearly wrong here. Lain is getting watched by red lights from a car parked outside her house. And they are recording her? Later we see who was inside the car. And the 2 men at the door are wearing these weird glasses that are possibly cameras? Lain starts hearing and seeing things that aren't there, like voices in her head.
Good morning, Lain. You can hear me, can't you?
And someone watching her from outside the classroom. Those things start affecting Lain. I don't know what's happening here, but Lain's being affected heavily. I noticed this show has a lack of background music most of the time. It makes the scenes without much dialogue kind of eerie. All you hear is the buzzing of power lines, and Lane's footsteps in the silence of everything else. Lane finds something called a Pasuke chip, and when going to find out more information, she finds out something different as well. Lain, or a version of Lain, has already been in The Wired. Lain has no memory of this, and this Lain they're talking about has an exact opposite personality to the one we know. Now, what I think about this is that maybe there's more than one Lain, like the one we're watching is a robot or a clone, and she may have a split personality. I don't know for sure yet, but that's just where my head's at right now. And then, at the end of episode 3, Lane's smile here is uncanny. It's wrong. If Lain smiles, usually it's small. She keeps her mouth closed and her eyes open. This breaks all of what we've learned of her thus far. Something is very wrong.
Layer 04.
Episode 4 starts directly after the end of the last episode, with Lain still working on the computer. She's still acting strangely, and at least her sister and father notice. Honestly, at this point, I can't tell what could have triggered this change, but ever since the shooting at the club, she hasn't quite been the same. There's some little kid that's chasing a guy. At first I thought it was Lain, but it's definitely not. She looks like she's no older than 8 or 9, so I really have no idea why she would be a murderer. Lain's smiling a lot more and differently than before. She also speaks with a different inflection. And then later, we see a shiny version of Lain coming toward another guy in The Wired. And I don't even know if Lain and Shiny Lain are the same person. And then there's another apparition of Lain that's not shiny. Is this the same one? Or could there be 3 of them, or more? Again with the tech, she has 3 computers set up around her, and a lot of different things to power them. The Wired is actually a game. Its graphics aren't that great. It looks like a PS1 survival horror game, but I guess this show did come out in 1998. While in The Wired, the guy who saw Ghost Lane earlier gets chased by that young girl from before. He turns around and shoots her with a finger pistol, which I would do the exact same thing as him and keep shooting her even when she's already down. I've seen Scream. You gotta make sure they're dead. Or not, because apparently that was a child just playing tag in The Wired. Okay, now I want to preface this next part by saying the music was kind of loud over the voices in this part, so I couldn't hear the voices great, but as far as I heard, the Knights are a religion or a cult, maybe, that exists in The Wired. Lane's trying to metamorphosize into The Wired? Lain said, "I'm still me." But I don't believe that. The glasses guys came back, and Lain blew up his eye through the window. What the hell?
Distortion. Layer 05.
When this episode starts, Lane's talking to a doll, possibly in a flashback. There's moments later in this episode like this, with an odd-looking mask, then her mom, then her dad. What all of these have in common is staging. Lane's on the right side of the room, and what she's speaking to is on the left. And even when it's her parents, their feet are off the floor, and they have a ghostly appearance. If this is a flashback, how long ago is it? Lane's standing in the middle of the road, repeating the phrase from episode 2. No matter where you are, everyone is always connected. And when she says this, she appears on everyone's screen, at least around the city, but possibly further. How did she do this? Lane's sister starts experiencing something I can't even really describe. She's seeing apparitions and keeps seeing the same text everywhere. And then when she finally makes it out, she sees herself? Another version of her that then evaporates her? And she turns into a weird glassy ghost apparition? Is she dead? What the fuck is going on here? There's a god in The Wired. Or at least someone with the powers of one. Whoever he is, he talks to people through their thoughts. The Knights are a group of hackers that hack across the wired. Lain has gone from 3 now to 6 computers from the last episode. At the end of the episode, Lain's at her computer, and she says, "Who will it be today?"
Kids, Layer 06.
When Lain goes into the wired, she's in a white void talking to the Knights. But the way she speaks is completely different than usual. She's normally monotone and reserved. Here, she's the exact opposite. She's social. She talks like a normal person. And that's what makes it unsettling. I noticed that a few times in this episode, the shots are exact parallels of ones from episode 1. And then the way that Lain acts at school is just how she acted in episode 1 too. This, to me, just shows how much she's changed in only 6 episodes. There's a bunch of people holding out their arms and looking in the sky, where there's an illusion of Lain through the clouds. Whatever it is, Lain seems pissed about it. Throughout this episode, every time Lain walks through her room, you hear water. And later, when she runs through it, you actually see the water splashing up from the floor. It just adds to how wrong and dystopian her room feels. There's a mouth taunting Lain. I have no more to say about that one. The child killer scientist tells Lain a lot of damn lore about the kids, and then dies. Since I assume you've watched the show, I won't take any more of your time explaining this really confusing stuff. Lain starts laughing maniacally. This is the first time Lain doesn't look confused. She looks entertained. And then we find out the Knights place a bomb in her computer, which is a sentence I did not expect to say about episode 6.
Society, Layer 07.
When this episode starts, we see Lain's room and, damn, how'd she already rebuild everything after last episode? And then she starts talking to the computer. But it's like the adults in the old Peanuts cartoons.
It's becoming less and less like me, it seems.
Then, when her sister walks in, she actually just makes noises. They're complete gibberish, but after what happened to her real self in the last episode, I'm thinking this isn't her sister. There's someone in a VR headset walking around Shibuya. The sad part is, this actually happens in real life nowadays. Check that one off the list of things this show has predicted so far. When we see his view, it's actually just real-life footage with a filter over it. They've never done anything else like this in the show, so I just thought it was odd. When Lain's being talked to on the roof, she makes this face. She's definitely never done that before. And then later in that episode, she makes faces like this, and even cries. It's just odd. This is the biggest range of emotions we've seen her have up until now. I guess maybe even she's realizing something's wrong now. Lain's last name is Iwakura, and I'm just finding this out 7 episodes in? Have they said it before and I just missed it? The glasses guys come back to get Lain for some reason, and we finally see what they look like without the glasses. Hey, that's the guy from behind the pole in episode 1, although I don't know the other one. Lain doesn't remember talking to the Knights. That's odd. We saw that happen a moment ago. What's going on here?
Why don't you shut up? Who the hell cares about any of that old crap anyway? Don't waste my time.
Whoa, what was that? She completely changed.
I see. You're Lain of the Wired, aren't you?
What if I am?
So Lain is 2 different people in one body. Her normal self and her wired self. I guess that finally answers my question from episode 1. Is she even human? And the answer is yes and no. Physically, I still don't know, but mentally, she's only half human.
Rumors, Layer 08.
Even from the start of this episode, Lain keeps mentioning
It was Tachibana General Laboratories.
Mika, her sister, who I just learned the name of now, is still speaking gibberish like last episode. Lain talks to her parents about what she was asked before.
Asked me a strange question. They asked, "Are you Lain Iwakura?" And then they also wanted to know, "Are your parents really your parents?" Isn't that fun?
And they stay silent, practically admitting that they're not her parents. It seems Wired Lane did something that Normal Lane doesn't know about, that we later find out was Alice, Lane's friend. I also didn't know her name until now, was having some very private thoughts about her teacher. Lain is the god of the Wired, something I had already guessed really early on, but I didn't put in the video because I thought it was too out there. Well, look who was right and now has no proof she was. In this episode, we finally see a clear difference between Wired Lane and Normal Lane, with the facial expressions definitely being a heavy factor. So Lane gets pissed off at her other self for ruining other people's reputations, so then she explodes into a ball of fire? How'd she do that? That's not normal, is it? Then she starts choking herself out, which is by far my favorite scene in the show so far. The way Wired Lane laughs in this part sounds a lot like Light from Death Note. Wired Lane starts explaining something about being omnipotent, and I'm gonna be honest here. I was so lost I'm not even gonna try to explain. So Lane finally gets the upper hand and deletes everything she leaked from everyone's memories. Wait, a happy ending, but there's still 5 more episodes. What could possibly happen after now? Oh, this is very bad.
Protocol Layer 09.
When this episode starts, we get even more real-life footage. This actually happens a lot in this episode. It's very odd. Okay, so as I see it right now, there's 3 lanes. Normal Lane, the one we started with, Wired Lane, the crazy one, and our newest addition, who I call Soulless Lane, because removing the 2 halves of Lane has made a 3rd one that isn't quite the same as either side. Okay, with that explained, back to the reflection. At Lane's door, we see why is there an alien wearing a Freddy Krueger shirt here? Oh, okay, bye I guess. What the hell was that? Soulless Lane goes into the Wired, but the next scene after has Normal Lane wearing the same outfit as Soulless Lane in the Wired. And now I'm confused on if when Soulless Lane goes there, it's Normal Lane that's the body, or maybe I'm thinking too hard about this and all 3 lanes just share the same outfit. Speaking of outfits, her bear onesie's finally back. It's nice to see some normal stuff in this very confusing mess we have now. These static people are extremely creepy, especially how this one with the eye just slides up right next to the camera. Mika is now doing a dopey-do, where she's talking to an imaginary phone, but I don't know if she's talking to another personality like Diavolo, or if she's just crazy. This kid is a part of the Knights? Well, I thought all of them would be criminal masterminds like Wired Lane is. I mean, he is a lower member, but I expected, like, Discord mod levels of computer knowledge here. We finally see a little bit of Lane's backstory, and as it looks, she was just put into this house. And it doesn't even look that long of a time ago, so yeah, definitely not her real family. Okay, so the last thing I put in my notes for this video was, well, see, now what? And this wasn't any moment in specific, it just was a reaction to I'm keeping that one in. Just to how the show is entirely now.
Love Layer 10.
So this guy comes in talking to Lane about him being the god of the Wired? But I thought Lane was. I literally had a whole thing about guessing that in the earlier episode's last video. So are there multiple gods? So, Lane's dead. Or at least partially. The one we see, what I call Normal Lane, is just a creation. The original Lane is Wired Lane. Normal Lane's just a copy. This show is starting to make more sense, but it's definitely getting darker. And that scene with the fake Alice scared me. Why was she so close to the camera? People are actually abandoning their body to become omnipotent like Lane, where they can live forever in the Wired, which I think works because the girl who does that in the first episode, Chisa, is seen by Lane later on, and they got the messages from the dead people. I mentioned in an earlier episode how there's not really any background music, but in this episode I finally noticed it when it did play.
You see, I realized I had no need for a body.
When Lain gets back home, everyone's gone. The plants are dead, and Mika's room is completely turned over. Where did they go?
This is my goodbye, Miss Lain. You must have figured it out by now. Our work here with you is finally completed. It was only for a short time, but I know I didn't do enough for you. Well, at least now you're free to become anything you want.
Oh, so that guy with the glasses from before was right, huh? So those people from last episode were the Knights, and Lain leaked all of their identities, leading to all of their deaths. Holy shit, the main villains of the show, or at least who I thought were, just died all at once. And only on episode 10 out of 13. It's hard to get a grasp on just how strong Lain is. We see her do some very crazy things, but never really know how far she can go.
Photography. Layer 11.
Well, this title card is different. I am watching this on YouTube, so it could be edited, but it's still weird. Just like the first half of the episode, it's just a recap of the last 10 episodes being put into Solus Lane's head, with a guitar riff that definitely isn't something I expected from the show, but it somehow works really well. Finally, Chisa shows back up. She was set up to be pretty important, like, killing herself in the first scene and then reappearing somehow later. But after that, she hasn't appeared again until now. And then another guy walks up to them and tries to get Lain to shoot herself. See, YouTube commenter? And then the Freddy Krueger alien from episode 9 comes back and, oh, maybe we should kill that. Why is there a Lainian talking to Alice right now? If you were going to try and make up with Alice and tell her that that wasn't you leaking all her secrets, why the hell would you appear in this form? Oh, and she disappeared like how the other one did too. Then Alice's secret gets deleted from everyone's memories. There's Lain. But as Alice and we are thinking, which Lain is this? And that smile says all we need to know. It's the bad one.
Landscape. Layer 12.
This episode starts and, oh, damn. I think that was supposed to be a jump scare, but for some reason, Lain just looking away, laughing 1 second, then fully deadpan looking at Alice the next, is kinda hilarious. So it seems that God's main goal is to connect the real world and the wired, and he's using Lain to achieve that goal, as he doesn't even have a physical body himself. Okay, so Alice seems like more of a main character at this point. It actually seems to be from her POV most of the time too, and I kinda think she might be my favorite character now. It was Mika, but we all know how that ended. But Alice is just caught in the middle of all this. Aside from what she did in private, she really shouldn't have anything to do with this whole storyline. But somehow she just fits perfectly. It's weird. Okay, so now we're back to Alice. And damn, I didn't know Alice's style was so on fleek. Anyway, she walks into Lane's house. What the hell happened here? Why does it... Alice, I don't think you have to be polite and take your shoes off here. This place is completely destroyed and empty. Or not. Mika's still on the handphone. I think they put her on hold. Oh, and Lane's here too, under this pile of wires. And after a whole argument with God, he transforms into this. Is that Nemesis from Resident Evil 3? And he dies? Or at least I think he's dead. So what's going to be in episode 13? Please just let it be a good happy ending where Lain gets to live normally with Alice and be happy. No. I don't think that's what's going to happen. It seems Lain may have to die for everything to go back to normal. Or rather, progress to what we would call normal. Either way, I guess it's time to finish this. So when this episode starts, wait, why is everything normal in the house again? And Lane's parents are there too. And now this scene with Alice feels like the ending. They're all happy again. Everyone's forgotten Alice's secret. They're even doing the thing where they play an OST with lyrics over the last episode. But someone's missing. And this isn't a happy ending until she shows up. Wait, that's not who I was talking about. Why is Chisa here?
That's right. If you aren't remembered, then you never actually existed.
If everything that isn't remembered doesn't exist, then is Lain even around anymore? We even go on to see other people from the story who have lived completely different lives. The glasses guys are just working on a power line, and God is just a normal guy who gets underestimated at his job. It kind of reminds me of Meraki from Persona 5. We finally see Lain again. She's alone, having chosen to erase herself from everyone's memories so that they could just live a normal life. But that's not the end for her. As we see her meet up with her dad and talk for a while, she finally gets her closure on everything that's happened. Then we jump to the future. We see Alice living her life and being happy. But there's someone watching her from afar. It's Lain. And when Alice talks to her, not even she fully remembers Lain anymore. Lain promises to always watch over her. And that's where it ends. Well, she isn't dead, but she isn't exactly alive either. While other people get older, live their lives, and forget her more and more, Lain remains, watching every step of the way. But I'm so glad she got her good ending, even if compared to everyone else she got the bad ending. And Alice also got a good ending, which is definitely a big plus for me. This show was definitely something else, but I loved it start to finish, especially this episode and episode 12. But I think episode 12 is my favorite out of them. Well, I guess that ends it. It took a few months, but it feels weird to finally finish one of these reflections. But it was really fun to do this. And what's coming up next is even better. Your Lain April. Until then, bye. And remember, you don't have to be the best. Just be the best you can be.